This is the live stream. For anybody that joins, we'll probably be answering some of the questions in the chat. But for those of you that are watching on YouTube, maybe tonight or tomorrow or even Monday, this is an instant reaction. It is about an hour and a half after the game ended. Florida State lost 23-31 at home against Louisville. And so I just want to go ahead and open it up with you, Coach AB. What were your thoughts on the game? Where do you stand after this performance?
I think I stand kind of where I've been all along, really. Um, I still have concerns, obviously about talent. I still have some coaching concerns, some decision-making concerns. Um, I thought the accountability was better today. I thought that they held guys accountable that came out, that made mistakes in the game. Gant has the play early, which I thought was an atrocious call. But they hold him
Yep.
accountable. They bring him out of the game. They put him on the bench. Penalties were few and far between today, which was great. I mean, that's not been the case. So signs of growth there. I just I just think you have. I don't think you got guys that can go win you football games, and you're making mistakes coaching wise on top of that. They go back to the Jacksonville State game that have led guys to doubt what you're trying to do and what you're wanting to become as a program that continue to bleed through. But ultimately, the first half was an epic failure defensively and offensively. You did nothing. Um, but why going in the second half does it all of a sudden change? I thought offensively they made some schematical changes that helped the run game get going. They were able to. Robert Scott was able to hold up a little bit better on the right side in pass pro. I thought Louisville started to play a little bit softer than they did in the first half. They really came after them in the first half, but so I thought you made some schematical changes offensively in the first half or going in the second half that helped you start bringing some runs. And look, I mean, the offense just isn't very good. I mean, there's just not a lot of guys, especially at the receiver position, that you can go to. Corbin and Ward are probably your two best players, but I know everybody's going to say run the ball 80 times. It's just not realistic when they've got 9 guys in the box
No.
on first down. You've got to do other things. You've got to RPO. You've got to.
There was an RPO.
There was some RPO. A lot of the action run was off the RPO. We're definitely going to talk about that more on Tuesday or Monday or whenever we release the
Yep.
film review. And then defensively, I mean, look, Jarvis Brownlee gets run by on the first play by Louisville, and as the game goes on, he stops getting run by. Now, why is that? Is that a coaching issue? Is that a focus issue? Is that a want-to issue? I don't know. I'm having a hard time answering that question. I think I do know. I think it's a focus issue.
Right.
The long touchdowns of busted coverage. Brendan Gant comes flying down into the box.
No safety help.
Uh, yeah, no, because he's supposed to be the safety help, and he comes flying down the box and leaves Dotson an outside leverage, and the post goes for touchdown. That it's a tough situation there. Probably maybe would have liked a little different call, knowing how aggressive Brendan Gant is, but you got to play smart football. You can't go out there every play and call expecting somebody to screw up. You got to make calls expecting them to do what you're asking them to do. And when they lose that discipline and they have those breakdowns, well, big plays happen, and we continue to see it out of the secondary. I thought in the post presser today, you saw Jermaine Johnson call out the secondary. You saw Jarvis Brownlee call out the secondary, and Mike Norvell call out the secondary for the screw ups that they continue to have,
Yep.
and it's the same guys over and over again. And at some point, that's got to stop being on Adam Fuller. It's got to stop being on Mike Norvell. It's got to stop being on Marcus Wilson. It's got to start being on those kids. They've got to start holding themselves accountable. Their teammates have got to hold them accountable day in, day out to show up and do what they're supposed to do, because there's a lot of failures that are occurring back there. But ultimately, and I agree with what Guns is saying in the chat here, you're 0-4. Your record is what your record is what you are. You're 0-4. You're 0-4 talent wise. You're 0-4 coaching wise right now. I was encouraged by what was going on. I was certainly encouraged by what happened in the second half. You got to love that effort with a shutout. You got to love that rally offensively. You wish you just would finish a drive. You just need that one
Yep.
guy that can finish a drive. One playmaker that can go out there. Maybe it's Malik McLean in the future as he gets older. You just need that one guy to go make a play. Jay Sean Corbin, as great a game as you had, you have the drop. It kills you. You got to make that play. Those are winning football
Are you
plays that
talking
you're
about
not
on the
making.
screen? The
No, on the he ran a little error route on
Oh,
fourth down.
Corbin. You're talking about Corbin. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, I thought.
Jason Corbin. No, it's okay. Yeah, he runs that little error route. You've got to make that play. The ball's a little high. Your
Yep.
quarterback's not having a great day. Um, you just need to make that play for him and for your team. It's not on him. I'm not saying that's why they lost, but those are plays that winning football teams make. That's why we're 0-4.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you said a lot of good stuff and a lot of stuff that I totally agree with. I think I'm more on the positive side. I don't think that you necessarily are your record. That second half team, if you take that second half team, they win a lot of football games.
Mm-hmm.
If you take that team in the second half, I think they win more games than they lose this season. But unfortunately, you can't seem to string together a full drive, let alone a full quarter or a full half. And we saw like a little glimpse of, I guess, the potential. And there was an expectation that this is the year that you lose big last year, you lose small this year, you win small next year, and you win big next year. But at a certain point, you say that to take away some of the close losses that you expect. Like that's against the Clemsons of the world.
Right.
It's not against the Louisvilles of the world. So this team just looks like they don't know how to win. They don't know. They don't have that instinct. They don't make those plays. I think that I'm gonna look into this more. So before I make any broad claims, I think a big reason why we're struggling isn't that we're not moving the ball or stopping the ball. It's that on third downs when the game matters, when the drive can either stop or keep going, is when we're at our worst on both sides of the ball.
And fourth down.
In fourth down, right? Yeah, on these key plays is when we're the worst that we are. And it's like, is that a coaching thing? Is that a mentality thing? I mean, it all goes to the coaches at a certain point, right? Like a coach should be able to teach that or coach that or whatever. That's a big part of being a coach, is getting your kids mentally prepared for these big situations. But yeah, to me, it that first half came down to third downs on defense, right? They scored 31 points because we couldn't stop them on third down. It would be 3rd and 15, and we wouldn't stop them, or we'd get a penalty, or
Yeah.
what they were like 8 for 9 at one point in time.
Yeah.
That on a certain point, that's on the coaches, but also on 3rd and 15, your kids are, as a coach, you've put your kids in a situation for success,
Yeah.
and if you consistently in the first half, they just in coverage, it was just easy completions and just kids just in man coverage. Or what I saw a lot in the first half was they were doing a lot more. I think they were trying to break tendency. They've done a lot of man coverage this year. I saw a lot more
Yeah.
the match
Yeah.
quarters type stuff. And I think it was just soft. They were soft in the first half. It made passing the ball easy. They made Malik Cunningham look like an all-star. And I just don't think that I, I don't know where to start with this. I'm pleased with the second half performance, but
Sure.
yeah, I mean, you're 0-4, dude. Like, you have to win
Yep.
at a certain point, right?
But so here's the thing for me as I'm listening to you talking. I want to get to some of the. I want to get to first. I want to get to some of the guys here in the chat. I'm seeing Chet Dog. Team definitely has no idea how to win.
Yep.
Austin Shiver says, "Why does I hope I said your last name right there? Why does every positive performance have to happen after we dug the hole too deep to climb out of?" Um, yeah, Austin. I wish we knew. I think the coaches wish they knew. I mean, Norvell
Yep.
talked about it post game. They're a team that's always started fast. He's always prided on starting fast and has come out and that's been the opposite this year. And they did that last year. They did start fast last year. Now, faded in the second half, and now I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. Um, uh, yeah, I wish I did know. I'd be a millionaire. Um, why are other second year coaches thriving like Pittman, Tucker, Aranda, Halfley, Kiffin, and not Norvell? Man, look. I mean, some of it is there's 2 transition classes here. That's not all of it, obviously. There are coaching blunders that are being made. Uh, I think that there's a lot more. I think there's a lot more issues with buy-in than what wanted to be believed. Um, yeah, I mean, there's just it's just top to bottom. There's so many things that are going on that I don't think anybody ever even really understands why it's so bad. But look, part of it might be Mike Norvell's just not the answer. I've said going back to last year, I didn't think Mike Norvell finished his contract out here, and I said that for a reason. Some of it is because the talent's so bad, but some of it is I think he doesn't know how to dig out of this kind of hole. He's never been put in this position. He's not a guy that comes from a strong coaching tree. While I think he's a good coach, it's a tough ask. It's a tough ask of anybody.
And
Um,
I don't think the fans expect us to be this bad. The fans don't realize how deep of a hole this is. So no matter who you put in here,
yeah,
someone needs to be here to see this thing out of a hole.
yeah,
And if you want a guy then
yeah.
that can win a national championship, that's fine. But like, we're in a hole. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, people don't
yeah. We've
think about that.
there's got to be a bit. There's got to be the climb's got to be out of the hole that we're in. He talks about the climb all the time. It's got to be out of the hole that's been dug over the past few years. Administration, different coaches, yeah, yada yada yada. We've talked about all that. Yeah, the 20th in talent argument for the 24/7 talent composite. That's a joke. I'm just going to say it out
That's
loud.
yeah.
That's a joke. This team isn't the 20th most talented team in the country. If if you think it is, I'm sorry. It just isn't. That's not reality.
I mean,
Why?
if you took these kids all in a vacuum and you measured their 40 time and you measured their height, weight, whatever, they might be the 20th most talented team in the nation, but none of that matters when all of these kids mentally are playing terrible football. Like
Yeah. Yep.
they're not there, right? Like if I see a kid consistently over 2 years, 3 years, his whole career be in the wrong place, either the coach is so incompetent that he didn't begin to tell him where to be on a play, which, I don't even know of a peewee coach that wouldn't tell of a kid where to be on a play, or that
Right.
kid just isn't mentally able to play the game well. And I think we just have a bunch of these kids. I'm not going to say anything, but I think the mental aspect of the game is not covered in that 247 composite, and the
Yeah.
youth of the team is not
Yep.
covered.
Yeah, and development's not covered either. I mean, those guys might have come in as 4 stars, but let's be honest, they didn't get any development under the previous tenure, and they got no development last year. And the jury's still out on whether they're getting a lot of development right now. Also, we're going to find out here as the season continues. Back to what I was talking about earlier, though, about winning. You know, we talk about winning football games, but Norvell preaches all the time. He talks about it. You hear the players talk about it, trying to win one-on-ones. The fourth down play where they snap it directly to Corbin. Jordan Wilson whiffs on a one-on-one block, I believe, and we're going to go back and watch the film again and talk about it some more, I'm sure, on our triple option video. But he whiffs on a one-on-one block there. That if he makes that block, they get the first down. Um, Andrew Parchment throw down the field. He's got to go win that. He's got to fight that. He had one
Yeah, he
earlier. He
lost
had
that.
one. He had one earlier in the game on third down where he didn't accelerate, fight for the football to go make a play for his team. These one-on-one matchups, these one-on-one battles that you're trying to go win, that winning teams make, you're not going and doing those things, and that's why you're losing football games. It really is what it boils down to. I know people want to continue to see the run the ball, run the football more. They had 9 guys in the box early in the game, guys. I mean, you can only run into that so many times, and it's why you saw as the game went on when they were able to start throwing the ball a little bit with a little bit of effectiveness. They were able to start RPOing some things. They changed up the formations with a little bit of unbalance to get a numbers advantage to the play side of the run game that you started finding that running success. You'd like to see him get to a little bit sooner, sure, but that's how football works. I mean, it is a give and take. You got to get guys on the sideline, get these things adjusted. You're communicating constantly. It's not easy to just snap your fingers and make changes. Let's see. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all break down this tape. Can you make a focus point on the difference between halves? Is it really superior execution? Yeah. I mean, sadly, we can only see so much that's going on in the secondary, but it looked to me like they still kept on running a lot of match quarters. They were running a lot of man. Um,
I think they were
I
just
didn't I didn't see a lot of changing. They started playing sticks defense on third down, which I think was a point of emphasis in the second half of why they started making started making some plays. They were able to cover things up better deep, and they were able to rally up on the football and tackle the ball before it got past the chains on third down. But as far as big plays and that kind of stuff, it was really focus and execution. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Guys stopped running up hard on the run game. They played their keys. Guys stopped playing poor technique, getting run by. They started using the sideline a little bit better. Um, and a lot of what was going on in the first half was also Louisville was able to attack these linebackers, and we know how poor these linebackers are in coverage. They were able to use a lot of those boots. They were able to use a lot of draggers. We started collisioning those a little bit better, walling some of those draggers off in the second half, which helps. But you just still see teams attacking that space in the middle of the field that we struggle with.
But also, I want to jump in here on those third down throws. There were several that kept drives going in the first half that Cunningham makes 2 out of 10 times, and he would string them together. And I think we were making the throws a little bit easier than normal, but he was having a good first half. He was making good throws against one-on-one coverage. And sometimes as a defense, you tip your hat to him, right? He didn't make those throws in the second half. He came back
Right.
down to earth. So sometimes as a defense, there's only so much you can do if they're just making these plays. But I think they were a little soft, like you were saying in the first half. They weren't collisioning. They weren't making those routes hard. And so that kind of allowed a rhythm that made him a better passer than he is.
Yeah.
There's a question about fourth down math. Do we think he's being overly literal? I'll go ahead and answer. I'm sure AB's got an opinion on this. I don't. I think that was the right call to go for it. I even kind of like the play call. You hear people talk about you want to get the ball in Corbin's hands. You don't want to throw it because we don't trust our offensive line to pass block. We don't trust KZ to throw the ball downfield. But when we try to run into a loaded box, we've tried that on third and fourth down several times. So we tried the best of both worlds. We tried to kind of get them off kilter a little bit and try to run the ball up the middle. They knew it was coming. We missed some blocks and we didn't get it. It's one of those things where you're going to look like a genius if you get it, but you're going to look like an idiot if you don't.
Right.
But I think that was the right call for that situation. There's like 4 minutes left or something.
Yeah. I'm just reading a couple more. Racers United asked if this changes our record at the end of the year. No, I mean, I still think this is a 2 or 3 win team at this point.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to need some guys to really. Andrew Parchment's going to really have to take a big step to consider winning more than that. You just can't do enough offensively, and defensively, you find yourself in too many holes consistently throughout the game. If they can start putting together a 60-minute performance like they did the second half today, then sure. I mean, I think you can look at 4, maybe 5 wins if you could find them. I don't know. I don't know if you have enough talent to get there still offensively. Let me see some of these other questions here. Other than the last play, was Parchment's performance a good sign? Yeah, I mean, it's a start in the right direction. But again, he has one-on-one opportunities where the ball gets up to him. He's got to go make plays. He can't accept anything less. I mean, and that's hard to teach kids to do. They either have that or they don't. I do believe Milton's playing banged up. I mean, he's going to be banged up forever. That's just the nature of the injury that he had. I would love for a fumble to not miracle bounce into the opposing team's hands one time. I mean, how about 3 of them today?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really difficult. To your eyes, was our running success a product of creative scheming? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought they changed up and they went with some unbalanced it wasn't unbalanced, it was tackles over. They started flipping the tackles and replacing the tight end. They also did some of that with the trips look, which got guys out of the box. I'm excited to look at that stuff a little bit more in our triple option video, because I did think that they did some creative stuff in the run game. They wanted to run some jet this week. I think they thought they could run laterally against Louisville. It ended up playing out. They just started doing it a little bit different. They were able to do it with outside zone and some of that. I don't know. It looked almost like a Y power. They were pulling the tight end around as a wrapper. Fuller's trash, 4 touchdowns in the first half. Yeah, I mean, look.
All right.
I'm not going to say Fuller isn't bad at his job. I mean, I think the jury's still out. I think you could have a legitimate conversation about firing him and bringing somebody else in. I think the problem is somebody else is Randy Shannon, and that's an issue for you, because I don't think he's the answer.
No. Yeah.
How much of the sacks seem to be on O-line? Robert Scott was pretty poor in the first half.
There were several.
Yeah, he didn't play very well. And then Milton kind of ran out of the pocket a few times and got himself in. And then he fell for I mean, he fell 4 times. It really kind of killed him in some of those late game possessions. Why can't we coach for 60 minutes? I don't know.
Why can't
Uh,
we play for 60 minutes either? I mean,
yeah,
why is no one show up for the first half of the game?
Elliot. I mean, you're in the wrong channel if you think you're gonna get us to bite on that. And I mean, it's everybody. It's top down, man. This isn't just on coaching. This is coaching. This is players. This is talent. This is buy-in. This is everything. This is administration not supporting them for years. Yeah, I mean, this is just a little bit of everything. And you can't just point and shoot at one guy. It's not that black and white. There's so much gray area here. It's not even funny. What would it
So
take to fire Fuller? Another performance like this one, probably. We'll see. Maybe he doesn't make it through this weekend. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I wouldn't be
second half,
surprised.
second half shutout. Nah, it's tough to say. Um,
Yeah, you still let up 31 points to. I mean, Louisville's offense is okay. I mean, it's not the most ridiculous thing in the world to let up 31 points, but
no,
just the way it was let up in the first half kind of took you out of the game early. Yeah, and I'm just kind of I've been on the Fuller train, and I
mhm,
still
yep,
would not be upset if they kept him around. But I'd like to see some more physicality out of these cornerbacks and secondary on these
consistently,
routes.
consistently. Yep.
One thing I'd like to go back to for a second is I don't know if you guys can see this, but I kind of they went to this a lot. It was like a little RPO here where they would have this guy running a bubble, and then there was an inside zone, and you're kind of just reading this mic here. I guess in this drawing it would be.
Yeah.
And a lot of their success in the second half early on came from this. They literally ran this all the way down the field one drive.
Hmm.
And then they kind of stopped going to it. It was that kind of bothered me. They started so these guys started cheating up, and so you can't go to the well one too many times, and so they tried to take some shots downfield, but then we just didn't have time, and so that was kind of the story of why we moved it so well early in the first half. Right, we got some movement going here. We ended up not blocking very well on these screen passes, so I think that was another reason they decided to go downfield. But
Hmm.
ultimately, I think it's just hard. Sometimes you're like, this is a rock and a hard place. You can't just live running the ball consistently against a loaded box. But I mean, what do you do if you can't drop back and pass the ball downfield and have more than 3 or 4 seconds?
Yeah, Jeremy Pruitt's not coming to Florida State. I don't think his wife will allow that. Um, and he is pretty much blacklisted right now, in college football. So, I mean, I think he's with the Giants right now.
See,
So, yeah, don't look, Giants or Jets. He's out there somewhere.
where he's allowed to hand out McDonald's bags.
Yeah. Yes, Milton should continue starting for right now. I don't think Chuba's ready.
It
I know
seems
we want to
clear
see
he's
Chuba.
not.
Yeah, I know we want to see Chuba, but he's just not. He's just not there right now. Just based on practice and whatnot. If I missed anybody else's comments up above, I'm sorry. We're trying to do the best we can here to get to everybody's comments, and we're going to get going here pretty
Oh,
shortly.
here's one thing I'd like to point out that Nopotal, I don't know how that's pronounced, asked, and
Full.
it's something that I also wanted to touch on, and we haven't touched on much at all. Special teams has looked really poor, in my opinion,
Yep, I agree.
which was supposed to be his thing, and they do spend a decent amount of practice time on it.
A lot.
But consistently, we were losing the special teams. If I've got stats pulled up here, we have this is EPA, so estimated points added. So in the EPA battle, we lost almost 6 points in this game purely based off of special teams performance.
Appreciate that, Elliot.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I mean, look, we're going to dig into a lot of this data. We've kind of talked about it off camera. We want to start presenting a little bit more of that data to you guys. That's Kev's kind of realm. So we'll have more of that stuff when we release our next video. Am I concerned about the turf monster? Yeah, I'm concerned about that. Look, I mean, Milton is what he is. He's a banged up kid. It's a miracle he's even playing football. Let me try to get to one last more. Can anyone name a notably successful inglorious Master D? Fuller doesn't coach from the press box. He coaches down the sideline. Um,
Yeah, he's on the
you
field.
can yeah, you can see him consistently. All right, guys, that's going to be it for us tonight. This was our instant reaction. It was a little bit longer than what they normally were, but if you guys like this live stream style, let us know. We'll keep trying to do this. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Uh, make sure you share this with all your Seminole buddies as we all kind of work through this 0-4 like everybody else. I mean, it's tough. We're fans just like you guys. We just know a little bit of football and try to share what we can with you guys. So smash the like button, hit the Patreon, make sure you're subscribed. Everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you got a favorite NFL team, hope they get a win tomorrow. So you
Don't
can.
let it ruin your weekend, guys. It's
Yeah,
college
yeah,
football. It's fun,
yeah.
but it's
We'll be
not worth
back.
it.
We'll be back either Monday or Tuesday with the triple option video. So
Yep.
you guys have a good night. Thank you.
See ya.